All right, people, welcome, welcome. Having another little live chat right here. I'll say love chat right here on CBiz Media Live. Just thought I'd go live for some recent stories, maybe a little 90-day, little love chat right here on CBiz Media. This is Irene, Faith, Love, and Trends. All right. I'm trying to see what I want to start with first. Do I want to do 90 day? Do I want to do Maya, Teyonna? Let's start with some 90 day. All right, here's Guillermo and Kira from the 90 Day universe. And they're on happily ever after right now. Their marriage situation is struggling. And one of the issues is she may be out at all times of the night. Happens to be hanging out with someone that she had a situation with previously. And she's supposed to be trying to boost her career. That's her motive. He's not so sure. He's not trusting her. They're trying to rebuild their relationship and their flame or whatever. But the latest promo is not really looking too good. And they both kind of look like a couple of deers in headlights right now on this photo. But what do you think if your mate, your spouse, they're trying to build their career, they have to, let's say they're a DJ or they work in the studio, they have to work with people late nights, they have to work in industry that's a little I guess, a little sexy, so to speak. You have to dress and look the part, especially in the entertainment world. I don't know what other proofs that he has. I haven't been watching the show faithfully, but I've been catching things here and there. But what would you do in that situation, that scenario? Would you trust your partner? I think it all depends on who your partner is. Have they been a trustworthy person in the past? Have they been in those type of situations in the past? And if you were able to trust them back then, you should still be able to trust them now. But sometimes it's like, okay, they're in a new element. You've never seen them in this element before. They may be acting differently. So it's like possibly they could be doing things that they shouldn't be doing. I don't know what the proof is when it comes to these two, but just wanted to bring up that scenario. What would you do? How would you feel? Would you trust your partner in kind of a tempting environment, I would say? So it's just something to think about, and something that I was wondering about, especially with watching these two story kind of. Hopefully it doesn't come to an end, but right now, as far as we can see, it's not looking good. But I'll probably check in from time to time to see what's up when it comes to these two in the 90-day world. I've been kind of mixing and matching when it comes into the 90-day world right now, and just kind of doing what interests me probably the most. I'm gonna go to another 90-day story while I'm here in the 90-day world for a second. We recently saw the tell-all, and it closed out. In another scenario I was thinking about when it comes to love, and you can drop your thoughts in the comments. It's kind of it was a love triangle here, and when it comes to Jennifer at the tell-all, I think she was a little embarrassed because she had been with both of these guys, and I think in both cases she was caught on camera. And people will probably think a certain type of way about her. She didn't really want to talk about it, so she just disappeared from the camera. She felt like it was going to be judgment. That can probably be understandable. She didn't want to own what she did or whatnot. But I was thinking about her scenario and was like, for me, when it comes to these two guys, I really think that she has more of a connection when it comes to Rob. But Rob is too complicated. So she picked Cole, which seems a little bit more simplified. his lifestyle, who he is, and he seems to be like a young gentleman. Rob is a little dangerous in a lot of different ways. One of which he is coming out of a marriage, but technically on the show he was still married, and I'm not sure if he's even filed for any type of divorce. We find out on the tell all he's still been with his ex in recent times. So for me, um, it can be complicated, but after hearing that, I don't know if I would try to be back with him or try to reconnect with him or rekindle anything with him. I really think Jennifer needs to kind of go off on her own. Things aren't going well between these two guys. There was some deception there. It's like, you know what? I think she kind of sullied both of these relationships. And when it comes to Rob, it's just too complicated because I really think that those two have such a strong connection that it could work, but he's still kind of damaged from things going on in his marriage. He's not letting his marriage go. So that's like a big issue there. And if you've ever been in a scenario where you were talking to somebody that still had feelings for someone else, at the end of the day, it's just not going to work if they still have feelings, if they still have connections, and as deep as a marriage connection. It's really something that you probably should walk away from and not give it a second thought. Uh, Unless this person returns into your life and you see the divorce papers and you see that they're not always on their phone taking messages from this person, they're not really still talking to this person, it would be a lot to prove. You'd have to prove a lot to me in order to be like, okay, let's try again. Well, I thought that story was interesting. I'm sure they're going to have more in the 90-day universe when it comes to these guys. So some things I'll be watching, some things I'll pass on, but I'll let you guys know if I see anything interesting. I'm gonna try to pop on and share some of that. All right, now let's get to Miss Teyonna Taylor. Now she had recently was on the Breakfast Club, and she was kind of talking about her marriage, the messiness of how it kind of ended up. And we now know that she's with Aaron Pierre, the beloved Aaron Pierre. And she looks happy. Things are going good for her. But she was saying in the intermittent time, like when she was trying to settle an ex divorce, and then they had some type of gag order, and she decided to go against the gag order. But he supposedly went against it too previously, but I guess his lawyers were able to talk it down. Like, no, he didn't really go against it. It's a little confusing to me. Like, there was a gag where he wasn't supposed to say anything, but now she's not supposed to say anything. Then she does, and she kind of just talks a little bit about their situation just because she just wants to be done with it, and she feels like he's kind of trying to keep putting that out there so he can sully her career and slow her down. And I'm sure he's possibly jealous of the Aaron Pierre thing. It's kind of obvious that he may be. I mean, kind of like with Rob, with the last thing I was talking about with Rob and his ex. It's kind of can be hard to like detangle from that relationship and that situation. And if one person is still, feeling, I feel like he seems like he has still feels like he has rights to her or something of that nature, you know, then it's like it's hard to let that go, and they're not letting you go, and then you're kind of caught in the middle of this thing you don't want to be in anymore. And I kind of feel like that there's some jealousy there. There's all these different things, right? So she finds like, I just want to be done with this. This is kind of, you know, I'm in a good space and place, and I don't want this to just keep bringing me down. And she had to pay like what $70,000 to go past this gag order just to say what she had to say in that time. She's like, hey, that's just a little piece of change, a little piece of money. It's worth her freedom and her peace in order to just like kind of let this situation go. But I'm wishing her and Erin the best as she moves on in her future. And how much would you pay to keep your peace? I mean, for her, that was probably a little piece of change. But um, in the entertainment world, you gotta you have social media is really important. How the audience perceives you is really important because if I'm just an everyday person, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not gonna have to put my stuff out there. I don't feel like I should, but being in that type of industry, it's like you kind of have something to prove. So you got to kind of have your personal time, but you still have to give something to the fans and the people as well. It can be kind of a hard line to walk, but again, I wishing her the best. I think she at this point with her and Aaron and the things she's doing, she can really kind of do no wrong. Just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully, what she has going on here lasts and works well. And we can't be petty. We gotta kind of let the past go. I mean, let that person go. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. And just kind of she's let things go, and hopefully her ex totally lets things go and just lets her live her best life. To me, it looks like technically he's not stopping anything from what we see on the outside. So they have kids together. It could be kind of messy and sticky situation, but hopefully it can all be worked out, especially for the kids. But all the best to you, Miss Tiana. All right. And lastly, I'm just gonna chit chat a little bit about Maya. She did, I think it's been about a week. She was on a podcast, kind of talking. They were talking a little bit about her personal life, and I just saw a blurb of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but the main headline was basically that she has never had desire for marriage or kids, and she's in her 40s at this point. And I believe that she was married. Like, I don't have the full history. I think she was married and divorced. I don't know if the marriage lasts very long. And we don't really see a lot of her dating. I don't recall a lot of her dating history being seen for those who remember her in her heyday, I'll say back in the 90s. She also had talked about her being celibate. She also talked about kind of how she was able to stay out of those, casting couch situations in the entertainment world as an artist. And I think she also does some acting as well. And she just wouldn't take anything. Like, she looks like somebody you wouldn't mess with. It's like, just, they wanted to mess with her, but she's got that look in her eye like that's not going to work with me. So I'm sure, and I don't know if she said she felt like her career could have gone off higher, but to have to pay the price of exposing and sharing yourself like that, in the way that Hollywood corrupts people, it's not worth that. But she lives, to me, a little bit of an alternative lifestyle when it comes to her love life, the celibacy, and then the fact that she never desired it. She actually said she feared the white wedding dress. She saw in her family, she saw divorce in her family. She mentioned something about her dad being handsome. And in that clip, she didn't say anything else, but I'm like, well, I'm thinking her dad, since he was so handsome, may have been doing some things outside the marriage. I'm just assuming. But she said she saw some things that she just didn't have desire. And then she said she just did, as far as the lifetime line, she just didn't really subscribe to that. And it's just kind of living her best life. She's like, it's not anything that's a big deal for her. And I don't know how she feels if it will never happen, because I've been watching Tracy Ellis Ross as well. And I can connect with that too, because I'm older, don't have kids, never been married. It's like, will it ever happen? And for some people, it may never happen. But I feel like if you've given it a try, you've given it a shot, and you've given it your all, and it just didn't happen, then that's just how it was meant to be. You tried. At least you have no regrets, and it's not like hey, I wish I would have seen what would have happened. Oh no, you tried, it failed. You tried multiple times. In that scenario, you kind of got to try more than once when it comes to love and relationships and all of that. In most things in life, you kind of got to persevere. And I like to quote the Bible when the Bible says, "Ask, seek, and knock." And all these things will come to you if you pursue it, is basically what the scripture is saying. But maybe she's not really pursuing it that deeply because she mentioned her fear and she has no desire. And, I respect that. And I do feel like it's people out there that feel that way for whatever reason. But the bad part is it sounds like it's because of her trauma, she has some level of trauma growing up, seeing it not work. And that trauma is kind of corrupting possibilities for her to find love. And I can relate to seeing other people's relationships fail, even in my own home and surrounding as well. And a lot of us as women, we see a lot of failed relationships. We see the world focus on the failed relationships more than the good relationships. There are some good relationships out there and people making it work. But as we go on through time and things change, the dating scene changes, marriages change. There's open marriages, there's all these different sexual options as far as how you identify. There's polyamories and all of these different things that people can do, and it's kind of open and like, hey, you can do that. Like in the past, it would be something people was like, no, probably shouldn't do that. But now it's like, hey, you can do what you want. Um, it's up for whatever. So it's kind of difficult to find like a good, stable relationship, much less a marriage. So in in that scenario, in that timeline that we're in, that's just what it is. Many people aren't even getting married anymore. But to have that trauma and say, well, I didn't want it, but it's because of the trauma. Like it's different if you're like, well, oh, I never wanted it because I was just satisfied with my life. But she said she was satisfied. But the fact that you're like, this is connected to trauma, I feel like it's just maybe a little bit of unfinished business, a little bit of fear, and maybe she does want it on some level, but because of what she went through, it's just like she cut that option out of her life and out of her mind. But it can be difficult, and I can say I kind of feel like a connection with her too because I do feel like I'm a person that I see through people pretty quickly. I really don't take a lot, and there's many men that I've encountered that they don't like that. They probably want something a little bit easier to go along to get along with. They want someone that might compromise a little bit more. Compromise is good, but certain things you don't have to compromise and you shouldn't have to compromise on. But, when you're a type of woman like that where you don't play games, uh, or you don't fall for games either, that can run some men away, but really it's doing you a favor because you're running the right men away. These are the men that need to go away from you because you guys aren't like-minded, you guys aren't on the same page. You might want something serious. They want to play. It is what it is. But I totally understand her feelings and I respect them. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, I feel like she's going to be good. And that's good for her if that's what she wants and that's how she feels. And most women don't relate. I think more women do now. There's many women that live a childless lifestyle. I think that's a movement that's going on right now. And there's a lot of people that just aren't married. So she's kind of doing what's almost kind of like the new normal now is to either do that or to either have a partnership or kind of like Teyonna, be, co-parenting. And that's kind of like the norm now as far as good, long lasting marriages and relationships, that's kind of fading. And I really do hope we can get that back because I think that's going to be not only good for people in general, but the guy or the girl, partnerships, that type of partnership is something that's God ordained. So I think it's good, but it's also going to be good for the kids, the next generation, just to see, hey, that this is possible, that love can work. And I think it's good. I mean, even though our climate changes, our culture changes when it comes to that, I still feel like kids need the stability of what marriage and family traditionally has always been. And even if they haven't seen it, and it's hard to see, because me growing up, I guess I'll say 50-50 growing up, but in my circle and in my area, it was like more like 10%, 10% of good relationships and 90% was either were messy. So it's like I can see how that could scare people. That can also, that's why we hear even in some of these other countries and cultures, it's like the population is dimming and getting smaller and all of that because we can't make that connection anymore. We can't make it work or make it last or do, what traditionally has been done. So the world is changing because of that. I guess that's a pretty deep story, but that's life here. That's love here in 2025. And it is what it is. But I do think that it's important to be happy with you, to be happy with yourself at the end of the day, because of my faith, to be happy with God and to count your blessings and look at all those people that you do have in your corner and don't focus so much on what you don't have. And that's kind of how I get along at the end of the day. We're going to talk more love chat because we want to hear good love stories. We want to hear happy endings. We want to hear things work. So we want to see that. And we don't want to just talk about, hey, how things aren't working and how you can't find a partner and how things aren't going well if you do have the partner. We want to talk about things that are working well in the future. We want some tips. Hey, we want to see couples make it work. And hey, can you give the rest of the world some tips? All right, guys, just a little quick love chat. This is Irene here, CBiz Media. And I'm going to say thank you and good night. God bless you. Whatever time you're watching, morning, noon, or night, all the best. This is Irene. God bless. Check us out on cbiztvmedia.com. Faith, Love, and Trends. You can hear a lot of our content you hear here on YouTube can be heard on Spotify as well. Go to cbiztvmedia.com for more. Check out our merch store. We have some inspirational wearables there. Hang out with us. We really appreciate what you have done with us so far. Keep it going. Wishing you all the best. Connect with me. Want to come on, chat with me as well. Go to cbiztvmedia.com and you can see my email and all of that and connect with us here, right here on CBiz Media. All right, guys. Talk to you later.